The process of recovery is what I would like to talk about today. What happens when a person with addiction desires to quit, and how does he go through, and what happens? Let me begin by saying that anybody can quit by themselves. Everybody can leave and have a beautiful life out of their addictions. It's possible. You just need a little professional help to understand what will happen during your withdrawals. Now, for those of you who don't know what is withdrawals is this painful process of your body getting rid of all the poison that is there in the body. Um, During this whole recovery process, your body goes through a lot of change. Now, to begin with, withdrawal lasts for 3 months. Now, there is a difference between withdrawal symptoms and withdrawals. Withdrawals is the whole process. Withdrawal symptoms is what you see outside. Clinically, withdrawal symptoms are between 15 to 21 days. And maximum up to 21 days is when your withdrawal symptoms leave. But usually, it's about 3 or 4 days that you will have intense withdrawals. And a lot of people who struggle with addictions wouldn't want to leave addiction for fear of this 2 3 days and how they will get over it. It is painful, no doubt, but there are various ways to come out of this process. Firstly, there are medications, but not everybody needs medications. Some addictions does need, most of them don't need. Your body is capable to handle the withdrawal process. For some, it may not be, and that's where you need a little bit of a medication to handle. But this is more for the withdrawal symptoms period, which is a very short period, compared to the bigger period of the withdrawal itself. Now, looking at withdrawal, so over the 3 months, there's a lot of changes that would happen in the body. Uh, Firstly, is the whole pattern that you've had changes. So for most addicts, their sleeping habits are very different. They would sleep very late in the night, get up very late in the morning. Typically, that's how it is. And one of the first things that happens during your withdrawal is that time cycle changes. The second thing is your food habits. You slowly begin to eat well. In fact, during that first few days of your withdrawal period, you really want to eat a lot. Most of the time being that they've not had good food for many days. And it's important that they eat good food, no junk food at that time. It's important also that they eat well and that they eat on time. Yeah. So once this is over, you go through your withdrawal period, and there's a lot of things that can happen in your withdrawal period. In fact, we don't even recommend medical tests at that time because your body goes through such changes that your medical tests can't be correct at that time. So ideally, wait for the 3 months to finish. And this 3 months is very crucial. And we would recommend not even a smoke during that time. In fact, to go a step further, not even a bubble gum, with the intention of, I feel like smoking, so let me take a bubble gum. The whole attitude should be I feel like smoking, but I will not do anything. If you keep on to that attitude is where we would really see change happening. Now, this is your first phase. But in the recovery process, I would always recommend somebody who goes through the process to take 3 years of recovery time. The first 6 months may be in a rehab center, where you have 3 months of your withdrawal period, 3 months of your body getting used to a new system. You finish the 6 months, you come outside, but consider yourself as still in the rehab for the next 2.5 years and walk like that. But the only difference would be for the first 6 months, you had somebody supervise you in the rehab. For the next 2.5 years, you supervise yourself over the recovery program. Now, let me tell you stories of what has happened in the recovery. We had one young man who came to our home. He was so weak, he had no strength, hip down. So the family had actually carried him into the home. And he would, on the bed all the time, he would mess up the bed. And our staff team would clean him up. And he began to question this, and he said, why do you guys do this? And our staff team would say, well, we want to do this because God's love causes us to do this. And so this friend of ours, his name was Noel, Noel would begin to ask, this is very different from what I have experienced. And one day he said, if your God's love is making you do this, I want to experience this God's love. And in a week's time, we saw Noel walking again. He gained complete strength. When he went back, he went riding a bike, joined with his family. His wife and daughter came back, and they had a beautiful life till he passed away with a heart attack about 2 years ago. Noel is one of those very special stories to us. We have another story, a friend of one of our young man who came into our home. His name is Vijay. Vijay came in and stayed for about 3 months and then wanted to leave. Fought with us and walked out. That same night, picked up a fight with somebody and got stabbed a couple of times in the front, couple of times on the back, and then they slit his throat. And they threw him in the gutter and put a stone on his head. Left him to die. Now, he was drunk that night, and so he doesn't know who did it. So there was no police case, everything just, we couldn't do anything yet. But he was in the hospital with a bleeding artery for 45 days in the ICU. The doctor said he would never walk again. Today, he plays football. He's part of our staff team today, working with us. Now, I can tell you stories after stories of what has happened, but I can also tell you stories that are very disturbing. We once had a 21-year-old that came to us, stayed with us for about 1.5 months, and then Christmas came. So he wanted to go home for Christmas, and his family came and said, you won't allow him for Christmas also? What is this? So we said, not with our permission, but you can take him. He went home for Christmas. On 25th December, he told his friends, you know what, from tomorrow I'm going to be a good boy. On 25th night, he died of an overdose. His mother came running to us, but we couldn't do anything. We lost him. I've seen people die in my hands. I can tell you stories of celebrities that we have seen gone because of overdoses of drugs. I can tell you stories of people that I've lost in my hands with overdoses of drugs. And so as I conclude this short video, let me tell you this. Each of our life is very precious, very valuable. We are very uniquely made. And each of our life has a purpose. And I don't think addiction is the purpose of our life. And so as we talk about recovery, I would also like to tell you what happens to most people that struggle with addictions. When they genuinely seek help, they walk into a church. And that's where they seek for help. And I'd like to tell you, people in families that have somebody struggling with an addiction, don't hesitate to call us. We are very, very willing to help you. All that you need to do is support them, love them, make sure that they know that you are there for them, but not by equipping them. Try not to give them money to do the wrong things, but tell them, I will take you to somebody who will help you change your life. Churches, when you have people coming in and seeking help, don't just shoo them away. Don't turn them around. See what you can do with them. Be cautious though, because they could hurt you. They can get you into trouble. They can manipulate. Be ready to be vulnerable, but yet be ready to help. And how you can help is to connect them to us. And we will see how we can take them through the process. So the recovery process is a painful process, but it's a process where you will see somebody so destroyed, somebody so given up by everybody, restoring and coming back to a new leaf of life.